Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Crypto News Podcast. It's your host, Matt Zahab. We are buzzing as always, folks. Another cold morning in Toronto. The weather, that bueno weather is officially gone, but c'est la vie. It's grind time now. Q4, a couple days away. By the time this episode airs, I guess one day before Q4, the last day of September. Time for the intro. Super pumped to have, I believe, the fifth Ledger team member on the show today, and we saved the big dog for last. Today we have Chairman and CEO of Ledger, Pascal Gauthier. Again, Chairman and CEO of Ledger. I'm biased, folks, but I think this is the GOAT and the number one hardware wallet company in crypto, not up for discussion. Ledger is obviously a company that specializes in developing secure hardware for consumers and enterprise-grade custody solutions for institutions. Pascal began his career at Kelkoo, which was later acquired by Yahoo, and was COO of Criteo, where he played a key role in the company's pivot to advertising and global expansion. Also worked as a VC at Mosaic Ventures and is non-executive chairman of Kaiko, a leading digital analytics provider. He also became the chairman and CEO of Ledger in 2019 and has absolutely blown up Ledger since then, more specifically with the expansion and release of Ledger Stax and Ledger Flex, which I cannot wait to get into. Enough of the intro. Pascal, welcome to the show, my friend. Pumped to meet you and pumped to have you on. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. The afternoon in Paris, and it's good to be on the show. Let's do it.
Let's jump right in. Firstly, congrats on the launch of Ledger Stax and Ledger Flex. We had Ian Rogers on the show back in April. Wow, what a storyteller. That dude is. Cool cat as well. Easily one of the coolest cats we've had on the show. You and I were talking about this before we started. He can tell a story to absolutely anyone. And so you got some big shoes to fill here, my friend. But he was pitching it to me back in the day, back in April. It wasn't exactly out yet. I still haven't seen it in person. However, they do look absolutely beautiful. I want to start with the New York Times ad that you guys put out, I want to say a week ago. I don't even think it was a full week ago, last Sunday. It was absolutely beautiful. I friggin' love this. We need powerful TradFi people to understand more about crypto. Walk me through this ad. Did you guys have other publications locked and loaded? Did you want to go NYT from the get-go? And explain the importance of really having the Ledger Stax and Ledger Flex in front of millions and millions of eyeballs in New York City.
Big question. We are trying to change the way you do self-custody. Often, when you speak to people, they will tell you that self-custody is hard to use. You know, this is the biggest complaint that you'll hear. It's secure, and Ledger has been securing self-custody since for 10 years now. It's our 10 years anniversary this year. But not easy to use is often what comes back. And so I was appointed CEO 5 years ago. And we did put a lot of work on the UX and UI for the previous products, so S Plus and X, Nano S Plus and Nano X. And we sort of doubled down on Stax and Flex. And what Stax and Flex bring to the market is a beautiful secure touchscreen, but the best user interface and the best user experience in the market when you use a hardware wallet for your self-custody. We designed it for like that, and what was very interesting is, we thought it was, a really great product. It's better to see our customers' reviews on this. And when you do your research online, this is what people say. Game changer, they use often, much easier to use, et cetera, et cetera. And we've designed this product with a larger screen because, well, first, our customers were asking for a larger screen because they were starting to do larger transactions. And this is where the market is going. Now we have an applicative layer that is being built on top of public blockchains. And transactions are ever bigger. And with our previous products, sometimes with big transaction, you have to skip a few screens, which wasn't necessarily the best user experience. And so now we have bigger screens and, hardware wallets evolve as a testimony of, crypto itself evolving. When we started, it was Bitcoin only, then Bitcoin and Ethereum, and now we support, thousands of coins. Ledger is actually the wallet that supports the most coins, the most blockchains, et cetera, et cetera. And now we have more complex transactions, DeFi on top of everything, et cetera, et cetera. And when you think about DeFi, for example, up until now, most of the industry has been blind signing everything, which is not a very good security practice. And so alongside, we don't just bring two wallets in the market, we also bring clear signing with those two wallets. And so we have a bigger clear signing initiative where we're trying to bring, Ethereum and a bunch of other blockchains and, dApps running on these blockchains onto the clear signing protocol that we've designed. So now you will be able to sign everything with your Ledger Stax and Ledger Flex and see exactly what you sign on your secure screen.
100%. The reason why I asked about the New York Times article in particular is because, and you sort of touched on this point, whenever some of my friends finally, I usually say mid four figures, once they sort of hit that 5K mark, it's like, okay, time to move your crypto off an exchange, time to move your crypto off a hot wallet, bring it to a cold wallet. And I always refer to them as Ledger. In the past, the exact same objection they always had. Matt, what the hell is this? It's a little clunky. It's difficult to use. That's, if you want to unbank yourself, these are the parameters. These are the rules you need to play within. That was up until the Ledger Stax and the Flex came out. Was this the biggest objection by far? Always in regards to the simplicity and paradoxically the complexity of it. Like, was there ever another option, or from the get-go was it like, hey, let's sort of look at how the iPod and the iPhone and phones in general sort of revamp from V1 to where we are presently, and it's touchscreen, it's good UX. That must have had some emphasis to it, right?
Yeah, but this is the story of consumer electronics. First of all, I would say that even if you use S Plus and X today, they work perfectly fine, and UX is actually pretty good. And actually, if you compare custody to self-custody, I would debate anyone to say that self-custody is probably easier. Because with custody comes, KYC and a bunch of stuff that are, that makes the experience extremely painful, slow to use. Custody is not always available 24/7, and so on and so forth. So I would say that, self-custody is catching up very quickly with even the easiest custody interfaces. And so in no time, there will be no difference between the UX and UI of self-custody versus custody. And that's actually a very important phenomenon, because that's the hard tech versus easy tech paradigm.
Bingo.
You always start with easy tech, that's Coinbase, and the hard tech takes longer, because to have your Ledger wallet connected directly to all blockchains and all transactions, because this is what's happening. You don't have an interface between you and the blockchains. You connect directly. This is the real future. Who wants to go through a third party? It's crypto. It's been invented because we can't rely on third parties, and so the fact that self custody is catching up with the best UX and UI in the market, that's great news. When it comes to the ad in the newspaper, I think at the end of 24 and beginning of 25, the market just got a lot bigger. BlackRock coming in this game was an earthquake, let's say. You have the biggest asset manager on the planet saying, Bitcoin is cool, let's go. And so now it's not really a question, are you going to go in Bitcoin? It's more a question of when are you going to go? Like, when will you invest? Yeah. And so therefore, it's important for TradFi people, like you say, to understand that when you go into crypto, there is a new paradigm in terms of security. Security has changed. You used to have only a phone and a computer. That they're insecure. But up until now, they were not holding secrets that had too much value compared to a Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin is money, and if I take all of your money away from you, it's a catastrophe. And so this is why Ledger exists. We had to reinvent security to protect secrets, because what a Bitcoin is actually Bitcoin is in the blockchain, but what you have is a private key that is a secret to sign a transaction. So we protecting these secrets. But Ledger being a security company, we can protect any kind of secret. And so with the world being hacked more every year, security has to be revamped completely and from the ground up. You can't just, take old stuff and, bootstrap it. You have to eventually take old stuff, break it down, rebuild it completely. And then, for the purpose of securing cryptographic private keys, and then you're good. And when you do it like that, you start with the hardest to secure. And so everything else become, easier to secure. This is why, Flex and Stax, we launched them with the passkey feature. So now it's not just about cryptocurrency. You can also store your passkeys in your Flex and Stack. And that's a big thing, Up until now, you could only have your passkeys in your Apple account and Google account. I got flash news for everyone. This is not really your account. It's held by Google and Apple. You have a right to access it. You actually do have some kind of 24 words to recover your account should you lose access that nobody writes down anywhere because, this is really when you create your account, 10 years ago. So you forgot, that entropy is long forgotten. So if you lose access to your Apple or, Google account, that could be also lead to a catastrophe. But now for the first time, you can, for the first time with Bitcoin, you could hold a digital asset that is unique and that is yours. You had digital property. And now you can have your passkey as your digital property. Like only you have your passkey. And then you can decide to open the website in a simple tap of a Flex and Stax on your phone. It's a thing of beauty. But the big news is you can claim private property now online, which never existed before. And you have the tool to do it, and that's Ledger.
So cool. Let's jump into Stax and Flex here. Talk about and again, for the listeners who did catch our previous episode with Ian, you guys will already know a little bit about this. But Pascal, I'd love if you could set the tone for us and tell us a little bit about each of these launches, the Stax and the Flex, why you guys felt the need to build them with the beautiful touch screens, the more beautiful UX, the simplicity. Was this really more so mass adoption over everything else? Was this a better solution for existing customers, a combination of both? Walk me through the whole sort of reasoning behind the launch of these two amazing products.
Yeah, so it's an interesting question. It's more of a question for Tony Fadell. Tony is the inventor of the iPod, and he's the guy who designed Stax. And actually, Stax is not just one product. It's a bit the tree that hides the forest. Like what Stax is a hardware platform. Where Flex comes from that hardware platform. So it's not just that we build one product. It's also we have now partnerships with the likes of Foxconn, where we can mass produce our products, and we can start different lines with different products, etc. Hence Flex. And so, if Tony was on the show, he would tell you how he designed product. But what I can tell you is, with Tony, we brought a change to Ledger from the classic tech company led by engineer to a product company. And so it doesn't seem much like that, but it changes everything. If you think tech, and tech is your master, then you're just putting tech in the hands of your customers. But customers don't really care about tech. They care about product. Like they want to know if what you give them is useful for something that they have to do that day. And so that's the product. So the product comes first, and tech is slave to the product. And that's a big shift in a technology company to start thinking product first and tech after. And so typically the screen, why there is a little click when you open the device, it's all products. And sometimes, why? It's like a little noise when you open the device. Why? Just because it's cool.
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny because I've got it on my AirPods here. I don't know if we're going to be able to hear it, but every time I open and close my AirPods, it does a little sound, which is quite satisfying. It does nothing in terms of helping me with my day, but it's cool.
And then you have human programming, though. These sounds make us feel a type of way. Like it's just it's a mimetic boom. I should now expect this. When I hear sound Y, I get action Z. Very cool stuff. Sorry, keep going.
Exactly. No. It's all good. So it's exactly that. And then you have some product features that are more like usability. And so again, the big screen and the fact that it's e-ink, so low battery consumption. It's because you want your Stax or your Flex to last long. You don't need that much power because you're not doing like 20 transactions a second. And you need a large screen because you have larger transaction, and the e-ink touch is a thing of beauty. it's funny because no one has never saw e-ink products so small. Like, usually you have a
Kindle,
Kindle,
yeah.
something bigger, but it's like a mini phone with like an e-ink screen. It's really, the feel is very satisfaisant, we say in French, satisfactory. Yeah?
Yeah.
So all of this is sort of Tony is doing, but when you design products, it's not just like, how the product is going to look, the kind of features, etc. It's also the distribution, the supply chain, the marketing, the this, the that. Like, you try the box, and the box has to be this size because when you ship it, it has to go into the mailbox, etc., etc. So when you think about product, you think about the whole experience. Like, from I get onto the website to I open the box and then I start to use the product. So it was actually a massive project for quite some time. And as you know, Stax was delayed because of the screen. The e-ink screen on the Stax is the world first for consumer electronic product. Period. No one has never done an e-ink curved screen. And that allows you to have, personalization on the side and on the top of the screen, on the main screen and on the side. So many difficulties. However, when we launch now, we have a beautiful launch. It was in July. Since we announced Stax, so that was 2 years ago now. Nothing has moved in the market. No one really came with a new product.
Yeah.
So every other company stayed rather silent, and or revamping old products and shipping them as new. Some new products that came to the market, we were all waiting to see what Block was going to do. I don't know. Like, I still don't really know who's using that product and for what reason. But so the market has been very slow. Sorry.
It's true. It's true.
It's true. I don't know what it is.
When Dorsey took that over, I believe it was Dorsey, everyone thought big things were happening. I can't tell you the last time I've even seen a tweet from them or anything of the like. So
and what's funny is I remember them telling me, Pascal, what you do at Ledger is cool, but we're going to design something for 100 millions of users. As if that was not the problem I was trying to solve myself. So look, sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. But my point is, like, the market didn't move too much. And also why? Because it was a bear market, right? 22, 23.
Yeah.
And so Ledger, we raised 100 million at the beginning of 23. And why? Because I wanted to keep investing into product, into R&D, into services, etc., and build while the market was slow. So when the market picks up, then we have something to sell. And you know what? The market was slow in 22, 23. So in the end, we apologize for those waiting for the product so long, but the product is coming at the right time. In the sense that the market didn't move, the market is going to move now, and you're going to need these screens more than ever, but you need them today. So it's all good. We shipped all the pre-orders now. Now you can order Stax and Flex on the website. And this is a product that is geared towards the next generation of users. I believe that the old generation of users, you have several kinds, but you have the people that do their own security. I meet them at conferences all the time. They don't like Ledger, but they have a better security than us, and they do it themselves. That's cool, but there's very few people on the planet that can do that. So that's not very scalable. So I'm happy that they do it. And we do have those kind of people also internally. But your best bet is still a Ledger, because not everyone is a security company on its own. Not everyone is a cryptograph. So your best bet is a Ledger. So for existing customers, they should upgrade to a Stax and a Flex because it's really so much better in terms of UX UI. They should definitely keep S Plus and X as a backup because these are great products. They still work, and you always need a backup. And for everybody new that comes into the market, it's funny because we were talking Token 2049 last week. It seems like a month ago, but it was last week. And we were presenting X and Flex on the booth that we had. And we were selling Flex 10 to 1. And Flex is $249. X is $149. So there is $100 difference extra in favor of the Flex, and yet we were selling 10x
Wow.
Flex compared to 2x. And what it means is, when you see the product, when you touch it, there is a clear difference now in terms of UX and UI. And for people that are at the booth, it's very obvious. Sometimes when you look on the internet, it's not that obvious. So we decided to go to in 25 to sort of every conference with a Ledger booth and to present Flex and Stax. And for the end of this year, we're going to do probably every major conference in Dubai, because Dubai has so much crypto traffic from people all around the world, to present Flex and Stax over there. We have Virgin, which is one of our largest retailer. It is one of the biggest consumer electronics retailer in the region that already has Flex in store. So now we're going to present the product, physically to our users, so they can touch and they can see the difference.
I love that. And again, that's just, I don't know how much you guys paid or what it took to bring in Tony, but again, when you're bringing in the friggin' creator of the iPod, like clearly he knows how to make products. And one thing that Ian talked about, Pascal, that I absolutely loved, and he hammered this point home, he couldn't have touched harder on this point, was the importance of hardware being cool. Like, you really need a physical IRL product. It's got to be cool. It has to be FOMO inducing. It's got to make you feel some type of way. And when you're on your beautiful website, like, you can't feel the product. You can only create so many videos that make it look so good. And one of the things Ian talked about was the sort of forward, future looking ledger. What does that look like? And he talked about a world where people are using their ledger to make a lot of day-to-day transactions. You don't want to just be pulling out a traditional USB stick. It's the same as everyone else's. But when you have a very cool, customizable ledger with your, custom background on the e-ink screen, like, that's moving the needle. People are going to see other people transacting. Me and you go for a coffee. I buy our coffees with Bitcoin, blah, 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 whatever. Like, that shit really matters. I'd love if you could just talk about, the aspect of cool. How much did cool go into creating this, and just sort of segue that into, like, what do you see the future of hardware wallets looking like?
We call the product Flex because, people like to flex to their neighbors,
yeah.
right? So yeah. Apple is still the biggest company on the planet, I think. And, what they did is, they turned consumer electronic into a luxury product. And why? Because they insisted largely on design, and certainly because the design is so good, you're part of a tribe, the Apple tribe, and that screams sort of luxury and excellence and big ideas, etc., etc. So, I mean, it is because it's cool, but it's also because you're part of a tribe, a community, right? When you use a ledger, and people don't say I use a hardware wallet, they say I use a ledger. You're sort of part of something. You're part of a club. And the device might as well be cool because, you're going to want to show it to your friend, and there's the word of mouth element to it. And, how many dinners have you been to where people have asked you about Bitcoin,
Yeah.
And so similarly, when they ask you about Bitcoin and when they say, where do you store it? Really, it's a ledger. We have crazy numbers. We secure over 20% of all cryptocurrency in the world on Ledger and Ledger Live.
That's wild.
On certain buckets of user, we have 40% of the whole market. When I go to a conference, any room I pitch, if I ask who's got a ledger, I get between 40 and 90% of the room that raise their hands. So right now, people don't realize that the market is still quite small in terms of, like, who's got coins, really. Like, a lot of people have Ethereum addresses, for example, but with less than $160. So that's 100 million over 120 million, I think. So there aren't many people with a lot of coins that sort of need self-custody and a ledger. Maybe 20 million people in the world, 25, not sure. And we sold 7 million wallets. So I would say our market share is anything between 30 and it's a big number. It's a 2-digit number, both on the coins that we secure and the number of people with coins that we secure. So basically, a lot of people have it, and so my point is, like, it's because of that simple fact, it's an icon, but also it's the only way that you can prove that you own something. Otherwise, like, Bitcoin is like in the ether, it's online, etc. Magic internet money, right? So now it's a ledger. So funny enough, like the TV show Billions.
Yep.
So in Billions, they use the Nano S without asking us, by the way. I mean, we're super happy that they did, but, like, it was not a promo deal. And And in Billion, you had the main character that goes like, sorry, I don't have a wallet on my desk, but it goes like, here's $1 billion, and he gives the other guy like a Nano S, and that's the only way they can actually show what sort of Bitcoin is in the physical world is through a hardware wallet. And so, when you have a product that bridges the digital world and the physical world, that's actually very powerful. And already the Nano S, I won't say that Nano S was the most beautiful consumer electronic product that was ever made. Okay. But even the Nano S became iconic. And why is because, you're bridging the physical world and the digital world. And now with the Flex and Stax, you're still doing that, which is crazy, but also you do it in style now. So I guess that as we grow, we're trying to push always further and always, bring those extra points to our user base, so they feel part of something that is really growing, and they feel part of something that is really amazing. Because what we're trying to do with Ledger is to secure your digital secrets, period. And for every consumer of the planet, and I would say every citizen on the planet, if you start to be a little philosophical about the topic, there is no freedom if you don't have private property and digital private property, period. So Ledger is a tool for freedom. And so again, these are, big words and big ideas, I guess, but I guess that the fact that the product looks cool is one way to get to the heart of the customer, but what the product does is really what makes the product.
Yeah. Ledger, top in class, anything security. Make quick break, and we are going to head right back to the show. Got to give a huge shout out to Prime XBT, longtime friends and sponsors of cryptonews.com, and of course the podcast. We love them as they offer a robust trading system for both beginners and professional traders. Doesn't matter if you're a rookie or a vet, you can easily customize and design your widgets and layouts to best fit your trading style. Prime XBT is also running an exclusive promo for listeners of the Crypto News pod. Use the promo code CryptoNews50, that's CryptoNews50, all one word, to receive 50% of your deposit credited to your trading account. Again, that's CryptoNews50, all one word, to receive 50% of your deposit credited to your trading account. And now back to the show with Pascal. Pascal, a couple more questions here, mate, and then we will wrap up. One thing that I'd love to discuss, that you guys have a bit of a mantra that is called proof of you. And that is sort of the relationship between AI and blockchain. I absolutely love this, and I'd love if you could expand on this great one-liner that you and the team have created.
So AI is digital abundance, and cryptography is digital scarcity. And so what you do really with your ledger when you approve a transaction is that you're proving that you own the secrets that can trigger the transaction and have your Bitcoin go from address A to address B. So you sign cryptographically to prove that you are the rightful owner of said Bitcoin. And so that's the same for everything else that you can sign with a ledger, say your identity, say, and combination of things, your money plus your identity plus, and you don't have to share your whole identity. You can just say, you can just share that you're 18, for example, if you want to log on certain websites. but with your ledger, you can prove cryptographically things, and so you can have a proof of humanity. You can have a proof of many things, and so we understand very well why this is going to be important for the future. Are you an AI or are you a human being? With my ledger, I will be able to prove that I'm a human being, and so going forward, it's an important piece of the equation if you want to still be able to distinguish humans on X.com, for example, from bots, AI bots, and whatnot.
Yeah, well said there. Your new office, you're in it right now. Your background is obviously incredible. If I'm a betting man, I would say you're a sneakerhead. I'm sure you got a fire pair of kicks on right now. Tell us a little bit about the office. I believe this is dubbed as the Donjon, the new office. But you got to tell us a little bit more about this sick office you got.
It's 106 Temple, 106 Temple in English. It's a street in Paris that is in Le Marais, so it's very central in Paris. It's 10,000 meters square that we refurbished for the past 2 years. We got this in 21, so right in the middle of the pandemic when everybody thought that we'll never work from the office ever again. I thought differently because I remember when I was young and I was like, okay, I'm not going to do that to the young generation. Like, fuck working from home. If you're, 60 and, semi-retired, sure. But if you're 24 years old and it's your first job, like you need to get to the office and meet with
100%.
people.
You're going to learn so much. And I've worked for startups. You can't build the same as in office, like that human to human touch and feel. And you can't put a price on that.
Yeah, exactly. Look, so I went against, every voice at the time that was preaching from working from home forever, which I thought was so, horrible. And so we built a fantastic office. This is the most beautiful headquarters of all crypto companies anywhere in the world. It's probably one of the most beautiful tech headquarters of any other company. Compared to any other company in the world, we had a killer team taking care of the building. It's a beautiful achievement. The building can hold up to 1,000 people. We have the best view from the rooftop on Paris. And we will do the grand opening October 15th. We've been operating from that building since July. And the Dungeon is our attack lab, but it's our hacker group. So they're in that building somewhere in a zone called Red Zone. It's orange and red, so with very restricted access. I cannot even access to the Red Zone, the CEO. I'm not allowed because for conflict of interest reasons. Security. Not even the CEO can tamper with security. Yeah, so it's beautiful. You have to come one day. We have a podcast studio in our basement that looks like the Millennium Falcon from Star Wars. So next episode you should record from here.
I love that. Pascal, what an episode. Really appreciate you coming on. Lastly, before you let us go, any news popping off over the next couple of weeks, months? Again, your episode will air early October, so keep that in mind.
Look, this is Q4, so, the news are behind us, and now we need to sell the news. So it's Stax, Flex, Ledger, Enterprise TRADELINK, which is an off-exchange trading platform that is killing it right now and onboarding a bunch of customers. We've announced that in the market already, and now Q4 is about rolling out and selling. We have Black Friday coming our way. We have Christmas. This is a big season for consumer electronics, so we're very hopeful. And macro people say that the U.S. presidential election will decide on the short-term fate of sort of the price of Bitcoin, and either is going to go to the moon or maybe not. So we also have our eyes on these elections to see what happens after, if it's a big rally and finally the bull run that everybody has been expecting, or if the market stays a little quiet the way it is now. But regardless of the market, Ledger, we control our destiny. We got our new products, we shipping them, and we are a happy company.
I love it. Pascal, before you let us go, please let us know where listeners can find you personally, and of course Ledger online and on socials.
Me personally, what do you mean, Paris or physically?
No, like your Twitter, email, LinkedIn, whatever you want to plug.
I don't know, man. I got a Twitter account. It's an X account. It's very difficult. People don't manage to say X, right? So it's @_P Gauthier, GAUTHIER. That's how you find me. And make sure that you see those little validation things. I got a blue mark and I got a little Ledger dot.
Yeah. Wow. Bingo. That's the one. And of course, folks, Ledger is @Ledger, and the website is shop.ledger.com. Pascal, appreciate your time as always, my man. Great episode. Love you and the team. Obviously, I'm biased. I'm a Ledger guy, but appreciate what you guys are doing, moving the needle for everything hardware and security in the space. Wishing you guys all the best until the next one. Hopefully, it'll be in person at the lovely office. But until then, wishing you and the team all the best. And we will see you on the next one, my friend.
Thank you, Matt.
Folks, what an episode with Pascal Gauthier, CEO of Ledger. He touched everything self-custody, security, Ledger Flex, Ledger Stax, the right to economic freedom, the new office, proof of you name it, we touched it. Huge shout out to Pascal and the team for making this happen. If you guys enjoyed this one, I hope you did. Please do subscribe. It would mean the world to my team and I. Speaking of the team, love you guys. Eustace, you're the man. And back to the listeners, keep on growing those bags and keep on staying healthy, wealthy, and happy. Bye for now, and we'll talk soon. Ciao.